hey boo, we're going to be doing something pretty fucking special today, if I do say so myself, which I do because I just heard myself. Back when Charles Oliveira first faced off against Islam Makhachev, that was like the first video that I'd done that really got a lot of interaction. Yes, a lot of it was mean, but I got the last laugh, so fuck ya. Who's laughing now, internet? And going back even further than that, when I first started this channel, I was too afraid to talk about what I really wanted to talk about, which was MMA, because I was like, who wants to listen to me talk about MMA? And then I took a dive. Is that? Nope. Took a chance, took a leap of faith, there you go. And I made a video about Dagestani warriors, and that one did way better than any of the videos I had been making. So I was like, hey, maybe someone does want to listen to me talk about MMA. And recently I hit 1k subscribers, which is just a cute, nice little, not mind-blowing, but mind-blowing for me, a little milestone. So all of those ingredients come together to make a delicious little challenge and Q&A video. It seemed like a good time to take Islam's advice.
Everybody run. Go, start. When gazelle wake up, run.
And if you know anything about how they train in Dagestan, a lot of mountains, they do a lot of running up there. I'm not in Dagestan, I don't have access to a mountain. I do have access to the Wrekin, and they like to wrestle when they get to the top. I'm gonna answer your question. Enough chat, let's train like Islam Makhachev. Okay, I'm going to do my best to answer some questions as I run. So someone asked me what my favourite all-time fight was. Someone else was like, favourite male fight, favourite female fight. Obviously, Lola McDonald, Stuart Henderson, the Ultimate Fighter finale between Bonner and Griffin, Willie Zhang and Yona and Jacek, McGregor Diaz, Romero. I could go on, but I shan't. I also got asked a few variations on the dream matchups past and present, top 5 matchups I would like to see. I would have loved to have seen Whittaker, Musasi, like both in the prime. You've obviously got your Silvers, GSPs, Habib's Ferguson's, Lesnar Fedor. What's your food guilty pleasure? I don't really do guilt around food. I suppose the closest thing is, so I'm vegan, so if a dairy product sneaks past my defences, my greatest battle in life is with my love of cheese, and it didn't love me back, but unrequited love is the only one I'm interested in anyway. Got a few along the lines of, when did you get into MMA? What was the first fight you ever watched? When did you start watching? Were you living an active lifestyle before? Did it inspire you? Your body is amazing. Do you have a guy who tells you daily? Because if you don't, then you should. Don't remember the first fight I ever watched because my brain isn't Google, but I started watching in 2006. So some of the first fights I ever saw were like Ortiz Shamrock 2 with the elbows, GSP Hughes 2 with the bad intentions. My friends in college got me into it, so I do have a lot of like emotional connection, a lot of good memories with the sport. I hated PE in school. I've always been active. You know, I grew up in the countryside. You don't really have a choice. But I didn't like organised sports. You know, I used to go out a lot when I was that kind of age, and I definitely didn't have like the discipline and the motivation and stuff, so it's given me a lot. Do I have anyone that tells me daily? Just some lovely strangers on the internet. We're at the top, I don't have a stand or anything, so I'm just going to hold you for this whole time. I'm just going to hold you in my arms. Hands isn't as romantic, is it? Look at that bad boy. Look at that bad boy. Alright, let's answer some fucking questions with all these people behind me. Someone asked me if I had any food-related tattoos. I don't, actually. I'd say about 50% of them are, you know, little mementos of loved ones. I've got one locations. I found a rock I could sit on. Someone else asked me any like local fighters, you know, off the radar fighters that I'm excited about. Manchester, it's just like overflowing with talent. Predators gym is just churning out problems. Manchester top team has some guys from Dagestan that are so scary that they can't even get fights. You know, they've got guys fighting in Anthony Pettis' promotion. They've got guys in PFL, UFC. But the one I'm most excited about is I just found out that a friend of mine who's been out for a few years, rehabbing a few injuries, he should be fighting again in December. And I don't think I'm allowed to say any more than that, but FCC, unnamed badass, I'm really excited to go and watch him fight. This next question, who would you invite to your MMA dinner party? Rob Whittaker, Josh Coolabau, Rafael Fiziev, Chris Curtis, Alex Pereira, Bryce Mitchell. I got a couple along the lines of favourite fighter, or one of them was like first favourite fighter. So my first favourite fighter, the fighter that I was first like drawn to, was Stipe. Stipe was always my boy. I really like the juxtaposition between like who he is and like the violent delights that he brings in the cage. But then I saw him taking photos with Trump and I was like, nah mate, ruined it. But that's okay, because like I've seen what happens to people when their football team loses games. Like I don't need that kind of emotional attachment every single week draining me. I don't get attached to fighters. I don't have a favourite child. Like of course there are fighters that I like have a soft, you know, your Islams, your Bobby Knuckles, your Korean Zombies, and there are some that I will always watch as if I don't watch it. But you know, I'm turning up like christening, best friend's birthday party, doesn't matter, I will be watching this somehow. Gaethje, Holloway, Volk. But no, I don't have a favourite. Do you fight yourself? If you're talking about my demons, no. I know when I'm outmatched. What are your favourite promotions to watch other than UFC? I think that in terms of versatility, shining a light on lots of different types of martial art, in terms of accessibility in anyone can watch it over YouTube, I think one are doing all the right things. I think if they want to contend over here in terms of competition with the UFC in like America and Europe and the UK, then hopefully they can just build up star power over here, and I think the door will be open. What are my top 5 energy drinks? Well, let's just clear this up once and for all, because I know the people want to know. Monster Ultra is the GOAT. Like, she's versatile, she's always there for you, she's a hangover cure, but it's easy to get kind of tempted away towards the bigger hitters. For example, your Monster Watermelons. I'm getting choked up just thinking about it. I do have a Monster waiting for me in the car. Monster Watermelon, just as I thought that maybe I was a rain girl now. Monster reined me back in, told me to sit the fuck down. But speaking of rain, their watermelon flavour, she's been there for me, you know? Rain's peach flavour can get up in my business all day, every day, but Monster's peach flavour, she's obnoxious. She gets you right between the eyes. She's here for a good time, not a long time. But obviously the ultimate energy drink is cocaine. I got asked what's the best fight I've ever seen live. UFC Paris in 2022 was off the charts from start to finish. The energy was incredible. The matchmaking all round was fucking immense. Pastries, you know. The French fighters really grabbed that opportunity with both hands. The Italian fighters did not. In terms of specific fights, obviously watching B-Nuck's beat down on Vittori was the creme de la creme, but that main event as well with the early knockdowns on both sides. Come on, drama. Someone asked me, what's that accent? It's confused. Would you ever go to a fans fight if invited and time permitted? Skirting over the fact that you called yourself a fan of this trash maggot. You know, send me location. I got asked, what is my favourite martial art to train? What's my favourite to watch? So if we're talking singular disciplines, boxing is my favourite to train these days. Like, that answer has evolved over time, but my knees have a lot of say in that. She ain't no spring chicken. If I had to choose a singular discipline to watch, it would be Muay Thai. Like, some days it would be Letway, but if we're talking big picture, like accessibility, the whole production, the whole promotion, then Muay Thai over Letway. Some questions along the lines of what fights am I looking forward to that are coming up, like in big old promotions. I think towards the end of this year we're being spoiled, but we're being spoiled with fights where I have a little bit of emotional skin in the game, you know. I think Stipe's probably going to need a search and rescue team for his consciousness. Colby's probably going to prove the idea that bad things happen to good people like Leon, so none of those fights. Arnold Allen and Evloev is on the cards for early next year. Ilya and Volk is getting finalised. Shavkat, Wonderboy, that one's going to be good. Of course, people want to know who I think the GOAT is. You know, I struggle to argue against John Jones these days. It's not who I want to choose, don't get me wrong, babes, but the facts, babes, the facts. People are so quick to align their GOAT, to line up their GOAT next to, you know, someone who has the same values as them. I'm the first to call him a scumbag. What he continues to achieve in his athletic career, against the odds, most of those odds he puts in his own way, is magical. Are you just doing this run because you're running away from your inner demons? On that note, we gotta hit the trail. How did you get your hair looking so snatched? On to the really important questions. I don't. Most of the time I am a greasy, disgusting, sweaty mess. Somebody wife me. Would you rather be inside out or upside down? Well, true beauty is on the inside, so, you know, upside down. I got asked about local promotions, any that I would recommend going to. So, I mean, we have a few in Manchester. FCC is quite good. Cage Warriors is here a lot. But really, what we have above all else is bowlers. And if you haven't explored that new frontier, I implore you to do so. It's the most eclectic mix of wrong uns, sometimes some Hells Angels. Where do I see the channel going? I wish you success. Oh, I wish you success too, boo. My fear and modesty want me to answer this with, oh, I'm just enjoying the journey. Let's see where it goes. Yeah, my fear and modesty are cunts. I've just come off the trail a little bit because there are loads of people. In all honesty, I think I've got a really great niche here. I think, you know, too often MMA content is just like, they know what they're talking about, but they're dry, and I think it's really, really funny. Short answer is that I hope one day I can monetize it. I've got so many ideas for things I want to do, but I don't currently have the time nor the resource. And if there's anything that you'd like to see, let me know. Feedback is always gut-wrenching, but I'll get over it. What should PFL do with Bellator? Thoughts on the merger? I got questions like that. I won't go on a Dana White rant, but having a monopoly in any situation gives you the audacity to treat people like shit, be a bit lazy. Any of the other promotions kind of edging up towards like UFC's popularity, notoriety, power in the industry, it's a good thing. In terms of what they should do with it, I think they're going to dissolve Bellator into PFL. I can see the benefits, but I think if they just made both of them more accessible, put them on the same platform, because having so many different promotions, each like on its own platform, each charging to view things on that platform, it's just making the sport less accessible, and then obviously people aren't gonna pay for that. So I think they kept it as two separate ones, but maybe put one for free. It'd really open it up, and I think there's an opportunity to get more people involved. Oh, and they should get rid of Gareth A. Davies for sure. I figured out where I was. I took some walking, and you know when you're mid-run and then you start walking and then your leg sees up. Oh, sweet baby Jesus. Back at the car. We did an hour and 20, about 1,000 calories, if that means anything to you. You're going for 2 3-minute rounds. Would you rather fight one Mike Tyson at his current age or 25-year-olds? That one's a no-brainer in my eyes, to be honest. I don't think I'd last 2 seconds against Mike Tyson at any age. I think at least, like with the 25-year-olds, they're not going to be organised. They're not going to be motivated. They're easily distracted. They're also easily broken. Someone asked who's a good role model in the UFC for lads specifically. So that depends on what role you're looking for. If you're talking in terms of like the fight game, then you can't go too far wrong with Volk. Like, work ethic, the success. He's also got it seems a good work-life balance, and has remained super down to earth. But if you're talking about like progressing the sport, and I don't mean in terms of like making Dana more money, but humanizing it, giving it greater dimension, then there are loads of fighters that nowadays are using the platform to talk about things that really matter. Max Holloway, Lando Venata, Nate Diaz has talked about mental health to an extent, so has Cerrone to an extent. It's slow, but it's progress. They're all humans with like multiple aspects to their existence, and they're all achieving incredible things. So what I'm saying is, if you look hard enough, you can find something inspiring about each and every one of them, apart from Colby. How do you say fuck off in Russian? Отвяжись. What genre of music do you listen to when you're training? So it completely depends on what I am doing. If I'm running, I either want some really like aggressive hip hop that makes me too scared to stop, or some pop punk that makes it feel like a jaunt through a field of daisies. If I'm boxing, silence. If I'm like lifting weights or whatever, it really doesn't matter to me. Got asked about my opinions on MMA and mental health, and I have a lot of opinions on MMA and mental health. I have a video on it actually, which you could check out, but I'm actually going to answer that question when I get home because I think it deserves a bit more of my attention. But before I get back in this car, a question that I have been thinking about non-stop since I saw it come through on my Instagram question box. Snog, marry, avoid. Islam Makhachev, Leon Edwards, Izzy. I have given this so much thought, more thought than I gave to my entire like educational history, more thought than I've given to any aspect of my life. Obviously, I'm going to marry Islam. That's fate. That's decided. But I don't want to avoid either of the other two. They're both beautiful. Beautiful. So prime snogging material. I want to say that I would avoid both of them out of respect for my husband, Islam, but that's a cop-out, so I'm going to say that I'm going to avoid Izzy just because it makes logical sense, because he's really far away. Leon's only up the street, so I'm bound to bump into him. Things are going to happen. Didn't realise they were so close to each other, but I did pass through both of them today. Hi, I'm back. I've had a little time to readjust to normal life. MMA and mental health. Someone asked me about that. Don't get me wrong, Dr. Lolly will always prescribe exercise. Not a doctor. But if you listen to like the likes of Joe Rogan, it sounds like working out is the be-all and end-all when it comes to mental health as well as physical health. And I don't think it's that simple. The benefits far outweigh the drawbacks if you're smart about it. Like, if I didn't start training, I honestly don't know where I would be. I wasn't smart about it, so I can speak from experience. I hold way too much of like my self-worth or just like my mood in like tied in with my training. That is a fickle little pinhead, don't call me that, to like rest all of that weight on. So if I have a bad session or if I get injured, then that has such a huge impact on, not just on that day. Need to be working on this outside of like that exercise crutch, and then you bring MMA into it, so that's just normal, like that's just any kind of working out, but then you bring MMA into it and it gets even more complicated, because yes, it has so many additional benefits in terms of that mind-body connection, fast problem solving, progression, but then you also get like hit in the head a lot, you get other injuries, the highs and lows of the sport. Like, it's such a complicated topic, and even now I'm oversimplifying it. Now that I've trained like a mountain man, is it gonna change my prediction? Nope. You're gonna have to subscribe and wait and see for that one.